Hey, what's up guys, Smashine here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about the potential profit we might see in the future from Antwerp, obviously once the sale has finished, and a lot of things like that. Before we hop on into this one, obviously there is no guarantee of profit here, we're talking very speculative, but we're talking about real things that are going to be playing an impact on the future of these capsules moving forward. Let's hop on into it. Now the first thing I want to hit on is the increased rarity of holos. Holos are now 5 times harder to get, and well, on paper that definitely doesn't seem like a ton when you can look at something like this visual and compare RMR, which you can see there is a lot of purple on that screen, to what we see now with Antwerp. You see there's not as much pink there. That's a huge comparison moving forward, and it's going to be playing a major difference in price moving forward. We can see right now that generally speaking, Stockholm holos and Antwerp holos are sitting in a very similar price point, at least in my opinion. You can see one's not 5 times more expensive than the other. You can see that when you look at the quantity, there is a significant difference here, even though the price really does not reflect it. This means that if for some reason these Antwerp stickers, especially looking at the ones that are slightly different, like maybe the Team Spirit or the Heroic, both of these are going to be playing a major impact moving forward, because at least with these quantities, it's going to be significantly easier for the price to move rather quickly, whereas with the Stockholm ones, there's over 1,500 listed, especially looking at this Navi, where there's a sixth of that for the Antwerp, meaning that the Antwerp can go up in price significantly easier, provided there is the buyers to do that. And that's another point that should definitely be in there, is that when these stickers look so similar, a lot of buyers are probably going to opt for the cheaper option, which is almost always going to be Stockholm, considering these stickers are so much more common in Stockholm than they are in Antwerp. That's the one unfortunate thing here, but I honestly don't think that's going to be playing that big of a difference once we get into a couple majors down the line, where these stickers do look very similar, but people are definitely going to have a preference one or the other. Now that one's definitely a bit more surface level than what I want to dive into in this video. The second thing is a lot deeper, and that's specific teams. More specifically than specific teams, we're talking about 9Z. 9Z, in my opinion, is probably going to be one of the biggest impactors for Antwerp moving forward, and especially in their respective capsule. Now, if you watch my previous video, which I definitely recommend you do, that one is a very important one to watch. We found that the capsule that 9Z is in had a 105% return, meaning that these stickers are very high in price compared to where the overall capsule is sitting, which is a really good thing for investors moving forward, provided that the actual demand for the capsule does not fall super low. There's a lot of things in CSGO that do have close to that 80 to 90% return. Obviously, at this point, nothing over 100%, because that is quite unsustainable long term, but in this case, the fact that Antwerp has even touched that is a really good motion for a lot of higher profits in the future. Now that's no guarantee, and I want to mention that and reiterate that very strongly. There's no guarantee of a higher profit potential than all the other capsules. It's just a really good sign that this capsule does have a decent amount of demand compared to the supply. But I wanted to focus in a little bit more on 9Z because they are a very unique team, and honestly, they're going through a bit of struggle internally that could really help out investors, provided they don't return in another major. First up, you've got the Rocks Holo and the 9Z Holo. Both of these are very desirable and have a pretty decent price point on them, and that's going to be very important because that means we don't want these to return. If these do not return, they should obviously gain a higher price point than they already are at right now, and that's only going to benefit investors moving forward. When we look at the 9Z organization themselves, they've definitely have a decent amount of internal struggles going on. First up, they've only got 4 players currently. Now this is quite interesting, at least in my opinion, because they dropped the player of Lucan, or rather they parted ways, whatever you prefer to go by, but he was really only on the team for less than 6 months, joining them in January, leaving at the end of May. Now, although it is an instability for the team, this is potentially really good for investors moving forward. If they do not attend the Rio 2022 major, we could definitely see an increase in the price of their specific sticker, which will overall help the capsule moving forward. And there's a lot of instances like this in the future where we see a team that maybe makes one major and doesn't make it again, where their price point is definitely a lot higher than it reasonably should be. And speaking of Rio 2022, that's exactly where we're heading to next, and that's obviously the next CSGO major, which is going to be another big impact player on what happens with Antwerp here. Obviously, Stockholm profits were really pushed to a halt when we saw that Antwerp stickers looked very similar. If Antwerp looked really bad, we most likely would have seen Stockholm go pretty high in price point. We did see for a little bit that some of the Stockholm items continued to go up even though Antwerp looked so similar. And that's something we can really carry on over to the next CSGO major. If Rio does not look as great as these past stickers, we could definitely see some increased profits for Antwerp here. Now, I do think that Rio is probably going to have a bordered background. It just makes sense. The profits here for Valve almost guaranteed are not as high as Stockholm, especially as we can see that the capsules are sitting so close to, and even for some above 100% return, means that there's not as many of these capsules being opened, which is a really good thing for investors, but not a good thing for Valve. That's something they're probably going to look to change in the future, realizing that their capsules here in Antwerp, and more specifically the stickers here in Antwerp, look too similar to Stockholm, and not a lot of people were so excited to buy in for relatively a pretty similar sticker. In my opinion, we can really only see positive things from the next major because I do not believe Valve is going to return with the same borderless sticker that is so similar to the past two, because they've just seen the decline in interest with Antwerp and they know it's going to be even worse if they try to do the same thing again. Now, the last thing I want to hit on is the economic changes in the world. Obviously, we've had some pretty massive stuff go down, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's the US officially entering a recession. There's a lot of money out there that is probably not going to be used towards CSGO skins. Now, I did find one actual useful comment on Reddit that helped give me a little bit more of an insight that basically said that most people that are buying CSGO skins are using it with disposable income, and this is probably not the main target or the main people affected by something like this, other than the Bitcoin, but mainly talking about the recession in the US and the cause of inflation in the entire market. And I think that one definitely makes sense. There's a lot of people with disposable income they put towards CSGO skins, but in this case, it's probably not going to be playing that much of a factor. The Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency itself, I do think that there's a lot of people that if they're willing to invest into something as volatile and risky as CSGO skins, they're probably willing to invest into something equally as risky, which is most likely cryptocurrency. Therefore, I do see partially a good outcome in this is that those people that are invested into both CSGO skins and cryptocurrency at this point probably would lean towards investing more into cryptocurrency since it's down significantly from all-time highs, whereas the CSGO market is sitting at a relatively similar price point as it has been for the past couple months. Now, in talking about the whole thing here, I don't think this is probably going to be playing a major impact moving forward, but it's just another one of those small factors that could help benefit Antwerp investors here. I do think that a lot of the people who are going to be choosing between Antwerp or cryptocurrency are going to lean towards cryptocurrency in this case. But that is really all I have for today, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.